Hello, welcome back. This is Mustardketchupmayo 1000, and we're back with another picks and predictions video, as per usual. This week it's gonna be UFC Fight Night Seattle, I believe. Main event being Adesanya versus Pyfer. Israel GYNOSANYA versus Joe Pyfer. Let's go over last week's card though, real quick. Did pretty good. I did actually pretty good. Really good. Sorry. Only missed Shamrock, Lucien Keita, and Laurel Murphy. Aside from that, I did really good. Chanel Dyer did not expect to get a KO, but she did. She did good. I was doubting her, but she did good. Shamrock, I saw all the red flags, but I still took him. Brando proved me right. Montas, I'm surprised they didn't KO Tricoli. Mario Pinto, I feel like this one was kind of obvious. Obviously, in hindsight, it looks obvious, but this one was really obvious in hindsight because I don't think Franco has been knocked out at all. Plus, he has like a thick neck, so that's another thing. Um, Split decision, so it could have gone either way. I think Keita's, in my opinion, got the nod. Um, but I mean, I'm not really upset with this decision. Um, Mason Jones with a crazy win. Danny Silva proving me right. COD did really good. Surprised he didn't knock him out or knock out Roman Dolizé. Evo, not surprised. MVP, not surprised. Luke Riley, how I figured it was gonna go, and then I felt like Murphy won, but or at least a draw. But I'm not really complaining because it could have gone either way. Um, in the thick of it. But yeah, this week is UFC Fight Night Seattle. So we're gonna start off with the main card, the curtain jerker, and this is Alexia Tainara versus Bruna Brazil. I have Alexia Tainara by decision. Bruna Brazil just is too gun shy, in my opinion. I did see that she has a win over her previously, and by her I mean Alexia, by guillotine. I don't think that's gonna happen again. If it does, just kill me. But yeah, I don't really see her or Bruna Brazil getting another rear naked choke. Kind of like by a miracle. When I saw when I was rewatching that fight, it looked like literally like Alexia got tired and she just wanted to like put her in a clinch. But aside from that, I still have Alexia by decision. Not much else to say. Bruna Brazil's too gun shy. Next fight, Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. I'm taking Ricky Simone by decision. Adrian Yanez tends to be very gun shy, just like Bruna Brazil. The only thing is, or rather, he's not gun shy. It's just that if he doesn't get a KO, he immediately gives up. It's been seen time and time again. Ralph Font KO, Jonathan Martinez KO, Benicio Salvador KO. Like this, at one point people were saying that he was the next big thing. He's not there anymore. Ricky Simone, literally same idea, but he actually went kind of far. The loss against Ronnie Barcelos isn't bad. The loss against Daniel Marcos isn't bad either, but you know, aside from that, his wins aren't telling me anything crazy. Like the Javid KO, not aging the best, but still good. Cameron Smotherman decision, also decent. Yeah. Next fight. Sorry, Ricky Simone decision. The next fight, Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. Taking Navajo Sterling by decision. Could definitely see a upset coming from Bruno Lopez. He's not a chump by any means, but he's definitely not to the caliber that most people would assume he would have been. Simply because he lost to Brinson Ribeiro, and I think that should have been kind of like the biggest telltale sign that he is not the greatest at that caliber. But he's not bad. Aside from that, though, I'm taking Navajo Sterling by decision. Literally a city kickboxing guy. You know exactly what he's gonna do when he goes in there. So, not much else to say. Not expecting an upset on this one. Next fight, Casey O'Neill versus Gabriela Fernandez. I'm taking Fernandez by decision. I was kind of stuck between the both of them at one point. Just because Casey O'Neill looked really good against Luana Santos. But then you have to think about it. Luana Santos was coming in on short notice, and that was a year and 7 months ago. Um, I think Casey O'Neill takes too long in between bouts, and that doesn't really help her in her favor. Um, but on Gabriela Fernandez's end, she still looks really good. She has probably more impressive wins in her last three than Casey O'Neill does. Like, yes, Casey O'Neill only has 2 losses, but what does that? But what do her wins say? Like, Luana Santos was probably her best win. Roxanne Modafferi isn't even in the UFC anymore. Antonia Shevchenko not in the UFC anymore. Lost to an aging old Jennifer Maya, and lost to Ariana Lipsy da Silva, which is kind of surprising. Gabriela Fernandez, on the other hand, beat Carly Judice, which was really impressive because we have seen what she is now. Excuse me. Submitted Kong Wang, and beat Julia Stoliarenko. But aside from that, and then she lost to Jasmine Judovic, but that's not a bad loss. So yeah, I'm taking Gabriella decision. Um, I can understand why people are high on Casey O'Neill, but I personally don't see it. So expecting Gabriela Fernandez decision. It's gonna be a smudge fest. Aside from that, yeah, it's a women's MMA fight. Nothing really makes sense in those type of fights. Martin Tybura versus Tyrell Fortune. Taking Martin Tybura by decision. Tyrell Fortune, his winning opponents' records are really interesting. 20 and 12, 65 and 32, 9 and 6. Man, dude, 65 and 32 is crazy. My God. But yeah, I mean, PFL, Black Zillions. Don't know what else to say. Martin Tybura has a little bit more of a, I guess, like standing in the UFC, for lack of better terms. The Anti-Delegia KO loss does look bad in hindsight, but his other wins make up for it at least. So I'm taking him by decision. I don't think he's gonna KO Tyrell Fortune. Maybe submit him, maybe, but I doubt it. Regardless, I'm taking him by decision. Next fight, Chase Hooper versus Lance Gibson Jr. Chase Hooper by decision. My boy is back. Chase the Dream Hooper is back. I don't really think he's gonna submit Lance Gibson here. Possibly knock him down, possibly. But Lance Gibson isn't a Slava clause, so I'm expecting a submission, another, or at least like a smudge fest on Chase Hooper's end. He's going up. I believe no, he's been up. Never mind. Yes. So yeah, he's just gonna go in. Fully expect him to at least do good on the ground. Lance Gibson also is a submission artist, so it's kind of gonna be fair-ish on that end. But I do expect Chase Hooper to just be the better grappler, and at the end of the day, he is the better grappler in my opinion. So yeah, I'm taking him by decision. Not much else to say. Lance Gibson is Lance Gibson. Next fight, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Mosayev. I think I originally was gonna pick Tofik to fight who he was supposed to originally fight, which was Samuel Sanchez. Yes, because I don't think he's that good. And I feel like it's kind of unfair what they're doing to Tofik by giving him Metabek and then immediately after Ignacio. Like it's not like he has a choice when it comes to Ignacio. He kind of just took the fight. But man, it's tough. It's tough out here for Tofik. But I want to see him get a win in the UFC. Don't think he's getting it with Bahamondes. Bahamondes is just a tier above, in my opinion. Plus Tofik's just kind of old now. Fully expect Bahamondes to like put a striking masterclass. I don't think he'll KO him, in my opinion, but I do think he's gonna put on a good striking masterclass. Probably mix in the wrestling. Hopefully, he looks a lot better than what he looked like against Fiziev. He was so one-dimensional. It almost looked like he didn't even know how to wrestle or sub. It's kind of embarrassing. So I think this would be a good show to show a good show and tell of what he's learned in the 8 months that he's last fought. I guess 9 months since he's last fought. Um, Similar to Tofik, but I don't think Tofik's like an old dog. You can't really teach him new tricks. So, Bahamunda's decision is kind of like what I have. I don't expect him to KO him, but I wouldn't be surprised. Next fight, it's Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. We already know how Terrence McKinney fights. So I'm taking Kyle Nelson by KO round one. It could leave the first round. I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen Terry McKinney go into the second round before, but we have also seen Terrence McKinney get brutally knocked out before. Kyle Nelson is one of those guys who is willing to get in there and bang, stand and bang. Terrence McKinney also on that same level of trajectory, but he does get slimed out way more, and it's kind of sad. But I would say there is like a kind of a pattern where it's like KO loss, 2K or 2 wins, 1 loss, 2 wins, 1 loss. But then you look at his wins and Damir Hadzovic, and then Slava Claus, and then he loses to Chris Duncan. Like that's completely understandable why he would lose to Chris Duncan. And then you have like Mike Breeden, and then Brendan Marot at 2 wins, and he loses to Esteban Rivovics. Like that's completely understandable. This dude Terrence McKinney wins at a certain level of competition, and he loses to a certain level of competition. And I think Kyle Nelson's up there in that level of competition that he would lose to. Sad to see, but that's just how he fights. So yeah, taking Kyle Nelson by KO round one. Yeah, feel pretty confident on that one. Next fight, Mansour Abdul Malik versus Yusri Belgori. I'm taking Yusri KO round 3. I was flip-flopping between the two of them for a while when I first had the fight, or when the fight was first announced. I had Abdul Malik originally by decision, I believe, or I think it was like KO. I forgot, one of the two. And then I flipped over to Belgori recently, and it's just like it's really hard to say, because yes, Belgori has 3 losses. 3 losses by decision, mind you, but 3 losses nonetheless. One of them being Marco Tullio, so that's funny. But he does train with Teixeira and that camp, like Alex and all of them. Mansour Abdul Malik, similar, really good. He seems really good. We just haven't seen him at that level of competition yet. Like, I think Belgori's 1 KO UFC win against Azamat Bekoev is way more impressive than Mansour Abdul Malik's last 5 wins, in my opinion. Like, Tricoli submission, congratulations. Cody Brundage, okay, we know what happened in that one. Nick Klein KO, we already knew what happened. Plus, Nick Klein was low-key doing him a little dirty in the first round. Disco, okay, yeah, I'm not surprised by that one at all. Wes Schultz KO, understandable. Dusko KO, we already know why, because Dusko has no chin. Plus, if you want to take into account age, 33, Belgori's in his prime. It's much taller. I think this kind of favors Belgori a lot more, and it's a smaller cage. Oh, he's not going to be in a smaller cage. Bigger cage, but I guess that also still works in his favor since he's a bigger guy. So, yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think he's going to win this one pretty decisively. I think it'll be going kind of far, as in it'll go a little bit into the distance. I don't think he's going to get outright KO'd, or rather, I don't think Mansour Abdul Malik is going to get outright KO'd. Like, he's got a little stumbled before, but I won't say he's gonna get outright KO'd. But I do think with enough built-up damage and wear throughout the fight, both fighters are gonna be pretty beat up by the end of it. I do think Yosori will come out victorious at the end of it, get a KO at the end. But I would not be surprised by a decision. If anything, a decision would make the most sense for both fighters. Showing that like Mansour Abdulmalik hasn't lost A, and then B, Yusuri has never been KO'd. So decision does make sense, but I do want to just go with a KO round 3 just because of how he looked against Bekov. So yeah, I mean this is probably the most interesting fight in this entire card, in my opinion. So look out for this one. But yeah, next fight. Julian Erosa versus Liran Douglas. Liran Douglas. Liran Douglas KO round 1. Julian Erosa, he was crafty. He was crafty at one point. He was a crafty dude at one point. Liran Douglas is better. Liran Douglas is better. This dude is scary. It was him, Javier Reyes, and there's another guy that came out from the Dana White Contender Series fight that I might be confusing with somebody, but it was I know for sure it was Liran Douglas and Javier Reyes that looked really, really good, and they were the most promising in my opinion. So I really want to see how he does against Julian Erosa, especially with somebody who has pretty good in my opinion. Craftiness wise, he's pretty good. Outright as a fighter, I don't know, not the greatest, but he's still good. He's still pretty good. Like he's definitely not a chump, Julian Erosa. But he is 9-8 in the UFC, so it's like you can't really do much with that. Aside from that, though, I do expect Liran to come in hot, get a KO. Round 1, I don't think this is going into round 2. Round 1 KO. Drop the mic. I dropped my mic. No. But yeah, KO round 1 for Liran Douglas. Nothing else to say. He's not one-dimensional, that's for sure. Next fight. Michael Chiesa versus Nico Price. We have all seen Nico Price when he fought Robbie Lawler, expecting the exact same thing from Michael Chiesa. I don't think he's gonna KO him, but he's definitely submitting him. There's no doubt about this. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was round 1 submission. I'm gonna give Nico Price the benefit of the doubt. He'll probably go into round 2. So Michael Chiesa submission round 2. Literally nothing else to say about that fight. Nothing else to say. Next fight. Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber 2. This is the second fight in the second fight in their duo. No, definitely not a trilogy. I don't know what it would be. Yeah, but the first time around, Alexa Grasso beat Macy Barber. I do believe it will be the same thing that's going to happen. I believe Alexa Grasso will beat Macy Barber again. Would not be surprised if Macy Barber won, especially since there's kind of need more new blood in women's flyweight. But I know I forget the stat, but I just know it's usually if there's ever a rematch, the person who won the first fight usually wins the second one outright by like a good 60%, I believe. So they have a little bit of higher odds to winning the rematch, as in like the original fighter winning the rematch. So I think Alexa Grasso is kind of safe on this one. Underdog doesn't hurt to take an underdog, especially at this close of odds. Yeah. Just to double check, I want to see what she's currently at on the sports books. Yeah, she's plus 145. She's been going lower actually. That's kind of weird. Oh, I guess closer to favorites. She's like bouncing back and forth. Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Could be worse. Yeah, but that's what I have for this fight. Nothing much else to say. It's another women's MMA fight. You never know with these fights. Could go either way. Taking Alexa Grasso by decision. And for the main event, we've got Izzy GYNOSANYA versus Joe P. Diddy Pyfer. Taking an Izzy decision. Let us not forget who Izzy is fundamentally. This man is a point fighter through and through. Mind you, he's also like borderline retired, but this man is a point fighter through and through. So we're taking him. We are taking him by decision. I don't think Joe Pyfer is gonna KO him. I would be surprised if he does. Actually, no, I would not be surprised, especially knowing how he got KO'd by um by Izzy. I mean, not by Izzy, by Imavov, and then got stumbled really bad against ZDP when he got the really undeserved title fight. Um, so yeah, Izzy decision, 100%. I really hope this dude does not go out bad. I really hope he doesn't go out bad. But regardless, Izzy decision, CKB guy. We already know how it is. Joe Pyfer could definitely knock him out. I'm not gonna lie. The more I think about it, Joe Pyfer. I think I originally had Joe Pyfer by KO round 4. Yeah, when I think about it, the first fight, whenever this fight first came out, Jesus, I had Pyfer by KO round 4. But the more I thought about it, I had Izzy decision, just because we know who Izzy is. But I think Joe Pyfer struggles with anybody who can keep him at a distance. Literally, Jack Hermanson showed the blueprint. Izzy has to implement it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. That was UFC Seattle, UFC Fight Night Seattle. Um, really hope everybody does good on this card. I've been doing good, thankfully, on all my predictions as of recently. Yeah, I have not much to say. I don't have much else to say. Thank you for watching. This is Mustardketchupmayo 1000, and goodbye.